This is the Echo Network.
Kelly's Westport Inn presents the Royalman Report with Casey Royalman.
He's an important member of the sports atmosphere in Kansas City.
Michael Engel.
We're already off the rails.
Jeff Herr.
That's what I meant by that. I hope nobody took that the wrong way. I'm sure nobody on this show would have the mindset to take that in any inappropriate way.
Weird.
And Chris Kamler.
Troy, somewhere his brain just exploded.
Music by 49 Stones and Andre and the Giants. And now, the Royalman Report.
Well, everybody, welcome into the Royalman Report. We actually got Danny on the phone right here at the top of the hour, so we're going to go right to that. But you know who we are. I'm Troy Olson, Casey Royalman. We're joined by Chris Kamler, Michael Engel, and Jeff Herr. But we've got on the phone right now Danny Duffy. Danny, how you doing today? So was there anything that you really focused on this offseason that you think you're going to have to work on in spring training to really become the big leaguer that we all think you can be?
Oh, well, I've actually been doing a lot of core. Physically, it's going to translate into me repeating my delivery a lot more. And I think that's going to help me to, get the ball down, throw a lot more strikes, because obviously if you repeat your delivery, you're going to be more consistent in the zone. And that was my my worst enemy last year was, throwing a lot of balls, getting deep in the counts. And this year, I'm going to get a lot of, two pitch outs, first pitch outs. And that's my goal this year, is just to really cut down on that pitch count. And I think I'm going to. I think I'm going to, impress a lot of people this year. I'm really excited.
Well, and we really feel that way too. Obviously, you kind of had a rough, I guess, time in the majors when you got called up. You ended the year with kind of an over 5 ERA. It wasn't definitely what we had seen from you in the minors. And like you were saying, you're wanting to bring the expectations to where everybody else is and really come at it that way. What is the one biggest goal you have this coming season?
Oh, I mean, obviously it's to make a playoff run. That's team-wise. I guess from myself, is just to get deeper into games, go beyond the seventh inning, get into the eighth and ninth a lot more. My main goal, to be honest with you, is just to be whatever the team needs me to be. I know I can do that. I've worked hard enough in this off season. I'm just really excited to learn, a lot more from Host and Bruce, and John Sanchez. He's a really cool dude. Obviously he knows a lot about the game. He's been around for a while, so I'm excited. I'm excited.
Now, when you're talking about going deeper into games, you did an interview earlier in the off season where you were talking about you went less pitches per inning, less pitches per start. And just working on that, is that something that's being emphasized to where you're not necessarily going to be looking for the strikeout? Or I think that the phrase pitch to contact gets thrown around, or is it being emphasized to just, make sure you're locating correctly and letting your stuff do the work? And if it's a strikeout, it's a strikeout. If they, ground out to Escobar, then all the better.
Well, I mean, yeah, I'll take outs wherever I can get them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I've been really good with getting a lot of swings and misses in my career as far as the minor leagues go. But obviously, the major league level is a whole different animal. And I feel like part of the reason why I got so deep into counts last year was because I tried to make my pitches too nasty, and that's just trusting your stuff. And I know I have a good changeup. I bounced it a lot last year. My curveball, I feel like is my out pitch. But if I get that fastball in the zone where I want it, more than not, it's gonna be scary. I'm really excited. I'm really, really excited going forward.
Danny, you mentioned, kind of talked about your curveball, your changeup, your fastball, and I think when you had your curveball working last year, you said that's your big out pitch, and I think everybody could see that because that was a pretty nasty thing when you really had that going. So when you take that in your fastball, what's that other pitch that you really concentrated on this off season that you really want? You kind of mentioned your changeup. Is that what you've been focusing on mostly, like what you want to really get going for this next season?
Yeah, when I got out to long toss, I threw a lot of changeups, just letting it go. I think that's going to help me to not baby it so much. That's going to help me to just kind of throw it and trust it. And, that's what I learned from Bob McClure last year. is when I try to make stuff too nasty, it gets less nasty. It gets less effective. And I just, like I said, I need to just trust my stuff, and it'll be good. Just really excited to get out there and, get into a game situation with it because I feel really good in my bullpens right now. But, live action is obviously a lot different. So I'm excited to get out there and just do what I've been doing.
Danny, you mentioned Bob McClure. Now, what are your impressions of Dave Island, your new pitching coach this year? Have you spent much time with him?
Oh, he's an awesome guy, yeah. Pretty laid back, very knowledgeable, obviously. But, yeah, we've talked a lot. I mean, I've been staying pretty late at the field. And, I get the opportunity to talk to him, anytime I can, I'm going to take it. Just pick his brain a little bit because he's been around for a while. So, yeah, Dave's a really good guy. Really excited to pick up, a lot from him, in the years to come.
Now, to ask you something kind of on the silly level, a few weeks ago there was a charity event that you and Frank Orr and a bunch of other guys participated in, and there's this video out on YouTube that our Chris here, Fake Ned Yost, took, and this video, they claim that it's you out there dancing. Now, we think that there might be some hijinks going on here. Would you like to confirm or deny that that was your moves out there, or could that possibly been one of your teammates?
Oh, dude, yeah, I gotta leave that up to you guys, I guess. I'm just kidding. It was me for sure. It was me doing that sloppy Dougie out there. But I'm proud of it. I have no shame, and I feel like I could cut it up. So,
has that gotten better?
Just whatever.
Has it gotten better since the event? Have you been throwing it out on the dance floor every once in a while?
Dude. Oh my gosh, I try. When I dance, it's probably not the prettiest sight. But, it is what it is, man. I'm proud of the way I dance. I can move a little bit. I can rock a little bit. But, dude, it's a work in progress. Let me tell you.
You got more soul than any of the four of us. That's for sure, Danny. I guarantee you.
Who's been teaching you how to Dougie though? I mean, it's a process, right?
See, the thing is I wasn't Dougie and I was Duffy.
Okay.
So I was teaching everybody how to Duffy. That's what it was.
That was the bit of info that we were all missing here. Now that we've got that clear up, it all makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, Ryan Verdugo,
right.
Ryan Verdugo's left Twitter because he wanted to focus on getting ready for the season and everything. And, of course, his name was Teach Me to Doogie because he's Ryan Verdugo and his nickname's Doogie. Have you guys talked quite a bit on Twitter, and then you kind of changed your name to Teach Me to Duffy for a while, and now you've changed back to DDuff23. How much is there a good chance that we might see some spring training duffing/dooging going on at spring training with Ryan Verdugo?
Oh, man. I don't know. I hate to be boring, but probably not. We're so focused right now, just getting going. I've actually talked to Ryan. He's a really good dude. He's funny, man. And when you get the opportunity to talk to him in the clubhouse, he's a really good dude. But, going forward, I feel like everybody's so stone-faced at the field. We're having a blast. We're having a great time with each other, but we're really keying in on this year. And, I've done everything I can in the off-season to come back and be what the Royals need. But, I'm just out here. I'm doing everything possible to make us better, and that's what everybody else is doing out here. So, we like to have fun, but we're pretty dang focused right now. We got that Kobe mentality.
Nice. Well, it sounds like you guys are going to have a hell of a team out there, and we talk about that a little bit. What are your expectations for some of your teammates? Some of the pitching staff. I know there's a lot of holes to be filled there, but it sounds like your offensive production should be all right.
Yeah, I've heard over and over again that our pitching staff is our weak point, but I feel like we're gonna definitely open some eyes this year. Obviously our offense was outstanding last year. I feel like we have one of the best offenses in the league. And going forward, it's gonna get scarier and scarier every year. So Casey has something to be really excited about. But as far as us go, as far as our pitching staff goes, we're taking care of what we need to take care of, and we're really excited to show everybody what we've been working on.
Now,
I think it comes with more experience,
How tired are you being one of those five that everybody says is this underwhelming starting pitching staff in Kansas City? How tired are you of hearing that? And what's your answer to the doubters for those in Kansas City? Obviously, you said you're working hard and what have you, but I mean, when you hear that, what's the first thing you think? I mean, are you just tired of hearing it?
Well, yeah. I mean, anytime somebody talks negatively of you, I mean, I'm not saying we're getting bashed, but anytime somebody talks negatively of you, it's going to make you do one of two things. You're either going to work harder on it or just continue to listen to it. And I'm going to work harder, I mean, that's the kind of guy, that's the kind of people that our whole pitching staff is. And I just, what I say to the people who are speaking negative of us, just, I understand, but just keep an eye out for us because we're going to be pretty dang good. I'm really excited. I'm not guaranteeing anything, but I know that all of us have worked as hard as we can to do everything, and it's just, getting it done on the field. And, none of us have big mouths. None of us are going to sit here and, talk us up, so to speak. But I mean, I know I know what we're gonna do, and we're gonna leave it on the field this year. And it's always gonna be a work in progress. So we're just gonna continue to keep working hard.
Danny, speaking of working hard and talking about the pitching staff, you kind of have a benefit of being young guy on the staff here with people like Luke Hochshaver and Bruce Chen, guys who have. Bruce Chen struggled a lot early in his career. Last couple of years has been a great pitcher for the Royals. And you have, Luke Hochshaver, who's had his struggles, but the second half of the year he was fantastic last year. So what's it like being able to talk to them, knowing, having pitchers that have gone through struggles before and had some success, and what have you kind of picked up from the more veteran pitchers on the staff?
Well, I mean, I think the biggest thing I picked up is just that it's a process, and it's only gonna go as fast as as you can control it. You gotta let it come to you. You can't force anything because experience comes, on its own terms. But I'm trying to pick up everything that I can from these guys, so to speed that process up. And I feel like where I'm at is a pretty dang good place. I mean, honestly, I'm not trying to take any like anybody's personal delivery, but I've picked up even things in my delivery. I've picked up from people like Hoach. I've changed the place that my hands start. I'm not as loud as I was with my delivery. I'm not as violent as I was with my delivery anymore. And I mean, well, obviously it's early, but I feel like I've picked up a few different things from a few of the different guys on our team, and just. I mean, anything in any aspect of the game you could pick up from these guys, and it is pretty nice to have that,
Yeah, and, you're talking about kind of what you've overcame. 2 years ago, you actually walked away from baseball. How were the Royals with getting you back in and getting you going, and now obviously getting you to be a big leaguer?
Well, I mean, what can I can't say enough about the Royals, helping me out the way they did. They allowed me to do something that a lot of teams probably wouldn't have done. And they were very caring about it, very concerned about the person, before the player. And I can't thank them enough. And now it's time for me to come back and continue to do what I've done and just prove to them that, that I'm all about sticking around. I mean, I hope I can be a Royal forever. I love the organization. I love the people in it. They're all truly caring people, from top to bottom. So, it's been very, very nice and very grateful in the whole situation.
Yeah, it sounds like following you on Twitter every day, it seems like you're just pumped to get out on the field. And I think it was last night you put the clip of The Pursuit of Happiness, where Will Smith is saying, if you want something, go get it. And I think just listening to you talk about your expectations for the season, I think it seems like that's where you're at, and I get the feeling that that's where a lot of the rest of the team is. Does that seem to be the case? And is that because a lot of you guys came up together, and you're? I guess my question is, does that chemistry make it that much more of a bigger picture goal for everybody?
Right. Well, yeah. I mean, it probably helps that the core guys that are coming up have played together for so long. But I feel like it's a huge testament to, Dayton Moore and J.J. Piccolo, and Scott Sharp, that they've drafted people who are so ready to win and so hungry to win. It's not even necessarily, I mean, we could all get on the field one day and meet each other, for the first time, and I'm sure it would still have the same will to win, the same will to, learn from each other and pick each other up. It's a pretty big time brotherhood that we got on this team, and it's really cool. And you don't see it, everywhere you go. And obviously, I've only played on this team, but I from what I've heard, it's pretty unique, the situation that we have.
Well, and that's one thing I've really noticed, and something that we hope will help keep this team together is how well you all have liked each other and came up together. We are talking with Danny Duffy here on the Royalman Report at royalmanreport.com. Of course, this is brought to you by Maggie Moose and Gladstone. Danny's out in Phoenix at getting ready to watch the Lakers take the Suns to town. And he's been talking with us about getting ready for the season and everything. First off, I forgot to mention, because we got started so quickly there, we forgot to mention we're supposed to say hello to you from JP, the Little Royals fan on Twitter. And
little Frenchie.
Yes.
That kid is the man. If he's listening, Frenchie, if you're listening right now, JP, if you're listening right now, what's up, man? You need to come out this spring. Really excited to see you and your family again. Big shout out to you guys, and get excited for this year, buddy.
Him and Heather will be down there March 8th, and I'm sure that kid is dancing on stars right now. I don't know about the rest of you guys in this room, but I don't know what it would have been like if one of my favorite athletes would have said hello to me on the radio.
It would be akin to like Brett Saberhagen saying, "Hey, what's up, Mike?"
Yeah, I mean,
I'd go crazy.
That's pretty crazy. So,
which never happened.
So kudos to you.
No, it didn't.
Kudos to you, Danny, for taking the time to do this. And
well, let me tell you, someday I'm going to be cheering on JP from the sidelines. So,
nice.
Hopefully someday he's going to be my favorite player too.
Well,
he's going to record that and play it for the next 20 years. I think.
Yeah, Heather, I won't be clipping that for you, no doubt. But yes, Heather and JP will be down there March 8th, and they're going to be enjoying it. But the guys there, we've got a chat room at royalmanreport.com, and there's so much chat. It's really hard to grab any questions here because it's going a little bit fast. But I just want to say, you taking the time to do this show, first off, is really cool. You're the first one to come on live with us on the Royalman Report. We've had Aaron Crow. We've had some of the guys from when we went out to Blog to the K. But, we do want to thank you for taking the time. You start every day pretty much with a tweet. It's pretty much the same tweet every day, and it's hashtag God over everything. What does that mean to you? Like, why is that so important to you that you make sure you get that out there every day that way?
Well, I mean, I wake up every morning and I'll sit there on my own and thank him, that I'm still breathing, let alone playing baseball. And I owe everything to, the Lord, and I just want to, put that out there and wake up to that, and hopefully that gets the message out. It's pretty subtle, I'm not out there trying to, preach to everybody, but it is definitely nice to wake up and see, 10 people have retweeted it or whatever, and it's just getting the word out there in a way that, people aren't threatened, I guess you could say. Not so delicately, but that's how people take it sometimes. And, I like to do that. It's the least I could do.
Well, and whatever time you do post that up seems to be about the time I'm checking Twitter in the morning, and it's nice to see. Hey, I got a question for you. So we got spring training going on tomorrow. It's starting tomorrow. Pitchers and catchers report. My biggest question is who do you think is going to be in the best shape of anybody reporting tomorrow, and who's going to be in the worst shape, you guess?
In the worst shape? I feel like we're all beasts, man. We're all specimens out there.
No question about it.
The best shape? Oh, man, I'm probably going to have to go with Gordo. That dude's a monster.
He's
the hardest work I've ever seen. So, probably Gordo. Probably Gordo's going to – he's a perennial beast, though, every year. So, I don't know. What can I say? I don't feel like anybody's going to come in to camp with bad shape, though. I mean, we've all been working hard. I've talked to just about everybody and kept in touch. And, I mean, we're all just so dang excited for this year to start.
How excited are you to see well, first off, let me say we've got some, like I said, we got our chat room, and Jenny Marie and Lance Otto, who have actually been on our show. They got married. The night that they got married, they were headed into Kansas City to start their honeymoon. They stopped by our show, and they came in, and we actually kicked off their honeymoon here on the Royalman Report. This was the first place they went on their honeymoon, and they wanted to let you know that God over everything has become their family theme now. It's like something that they build their day around as well. So it's definitely having an effect within the Royals community, within the Royals family. somebody mentioned, Jonathan Broxton's going to be on this team next year, and we've got a lot of new faces. Honestly, a lot of guys that we may not have expected that the Royals would sign in the offseason. How excited are you for all the new faces that the Royals are going to have?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Broxton's out here right now. It's been nice to talk to him and get to know him a little bit. Jonathan Sanchez is another good guy. I feel like every time somebody comes in, or anytime somebody new's around, any new face is honestly just a really cool dude. And like I said before, the Royals are really big on character. And I mean, obviously you got to take care of business on the field, but I feel like we just have the coolest people. I mean, in baseball on the squad. I mean, Frenchie's one of the funniest people I've ever met. Bruce Chen is another one. Everybody's just really positive, really, going in the right direction. And, last year when we had a couple of losing stretches, it was tough, but we were picking each other up, and I'm excited to see more people like that. And I feel like that's just all we got. That's the kind of people we got.
So we're wrapping up with Danny Duffy of the Kansas City Royals, and here on the Royalman Report. I got one final question for you, Danny. Sounds like you're a Lakers fan. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Okay, so who wins if the Lakers meet the Knicks in the finals? You got Kobe versus Linsanity. Would the entire world just explode if that happened? Or
Twitter world would.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I gotta go with Kobe, obviously. Lynn's got too many. He's a beast, man. He's turning over the ball a lot. I was just listening to reading one of my buddy's tweets. We played basketball at Minot State in college, and he comes off a lot of ball screens, and he turns the ball over on those. He tries to go through them too quick. And obviously there's not a hole in Kobe's game because he's like the coolest human being of all time. So I think the Lakers got this one.
Awesome. Yeah,
it's kind of until Kobe's 60.
It's kind of hard to root against Kobe anytime, right?
Yeah, no, there won't be that day will never come for me.
Well, Danny, get up to the game. I think it's already started, and you're missing it, so we're going to let you go. But, folks, thanks, big thank you to Danny Duffy of the Kansas City Royals for stopping by the Royalman Report today. Danny, we're excited to see you. We're going to be watching those spring training games. We're going to see you here in Kansas City come April. We cannot wait, and we'll see you then. But we got to get out to commercial, so we'll be right back, everybody. Once again, thanks to Danny Duffy for coming on the Royalman Report.
Hey, thank you guys for having me.
Kelly's Westport, it's the place where you buy beer. This guy came into the bar the other day and was telling me that they had friends in town and went down to that fancy bar district downtown. They went to one of those swanky no-ball cap bars and ordered a beer. Now, this wasn't one of those imported beers, wasn't even one of those microbrew deals. This bartender rang up the tab and he wanted $27 for 3 dadgum beers. $27 for some beers. That isn't right. That isn't fair. So he took them down to see us. We got them some nice big beers for half that price. Even had one of the ladies find a fella there. Got him some pizza. Listen, don't fall victim to those overpriced, no ball cap bars down there. You might as well take your money and throw it in the trash. Kelly's Westport, it's the place where you buy beer. Kelly's Westport Inn, tell them the Royalman Report sent you. Picnic Minute.
Oh, who did that? They say we're young and we don't know. Won't find out till we grow. Well, I don't know. Well, that's true. 'Cause you got me, baby, I got you.
back into the Royalman Report. I am Casey Royalman. Wow, we're off to quite the start today, gentlemen.
Yeah, that was a great segment with Danny Duffy, and we want to thank him for his time. We kind of pulled him away from the Lakers game for a little bit,
so we wanted to let him go and get to that. But of course, we had to let him go also because not only was Maggie Moose bringing us one guest this week, but Maggie Moose in Gladstone is bringing us two guests this week. We are also joined on the phone by Gar Ryness. He's known better as the batting stance guy. I guess that's a good place to start. How do you get a nick? I mean, I'm Casey Royalman. That's a pretty fantastic nickname. You know, we got Fake Ned Yost. That's a fantastic nickname, but none of those compare to the batting stance guy. How do you go about getting that as a nickname?
Pretty on the nose. You imitate more players than I guess anybody with any self-respect does. And then there's a thing called YouTube that gets invented, and a neighbor up the street, when you don't even know YouTube exists, ask if he can video you because he wants to show some of his buddies back in Boston that he grew up with Red Sox stances, and then your whole life sort of changes from there. That's how.
I can't even imagine how, like, when they approach you about that, you have to, like, take a second look at him and wonder, you know, what's their problem? Why are we doing this? But
you know, what's funny is I grew up on the West Coast, and people had other things going on, so they're sort of into sports on the West Coast. But then when I went back east to school, there was a bunch of guys in the dorms that were crazy into it. So I didn't even know it was a skill that I didn't even know you'd call it a skill. But that's where I realized, oh, whoa, if you can imitate the 86 Mets, lots of people in New York that are my age go nuts. So I was like, all right, great. And then was just sort of sitting on it for a decade. And then when this guy, during a football game, said he wanted a video because he wanted to show his buddies, I mean, I had no idea that it would take off.
yeah, it doesn't. I mean, you've deemed it as the least marketable skill in America. So you're probably the most surprised that you've had this level of recognition out of this. I mean, you've been on ESPN. You've been on David Letterman. I can't even imagine doing anything close, much less just doing batting stances. But it seems like, you know, you get a lot of great reactions, especially from the players. What's that like?
Oh, man. I mean, I'm very similar to most people listening to this podcast in that I stinking love baseball and have loved it for a long time and didn't think that love was any more pronounced than anybody else that wants to see games, wants to collect cards, wants to wear a jersey on a date, you know, just kind of this lost perspective on how much they love baseball. So to be a little older and then to be able to meet a lot of these heroes and then have, Ryan Howard, who are the other guys, Joe Mauer, Pablo Sandoval, have these guys introduce themselves to me is just mind-numbing. I mean, it's just, you know, because they've seen it, and the fact is, a lot of them don't like to clown each other because it's work, and I don't know, people are sensitive, and so for me, who's no more connected to them than the Sparklets water guy delivering water, to stand in the middle of their stretching circle and then have somebody MC me, you know, clowning each of the guys in a circle, I can do it, and it's been just crazy gratifying because, to be honest, they get the nuance more than even fans. You know, fans don't see the okay backup catcher lift their heel, you know, 60 times a week in batting practice and in the game. So when I do it to those players, they all get the joke. It's the greatest audience I've ever had, and I would have never in a million years, like everybody listening to this, anticipated even meeting a player, let alone entertaining them.
Now that would be one of my bigger questions is how much you have to do some studying, and because when you are in that circle, you know, Chris Getz could have just been called up yesterday, and they're like, "Oh, dude, Chris Getz," and so you have to like pull Chris Getz out of your butt for some reason. And I mean, you know, it's easy to do, you know, the biggies, but you know, if Chris Getz or Angel Baroa or, you know, Kit Pello comes out of nowhere, and like, you Kit Pello. So, you know, what is your process to try to study all these guys?
Well, the process is normally, so for the last year I've been doing spoofs for MLB Network, and so they'll have me, go down to the field, and then I have to prepare for those two teams for fear that, again, the backup catcher is going to pull me aside and want to see, him. So I think what helps is that I was the last guy on my bench for high school, and our team was great, 7th in the nation, really good, and a bunch of guys got drafted, but I was the last guy on the bench. So there's some part of me that feels obliged in a willing way to want to honor the end of the bench. I mean, if you're in the major leagues, you're awesome, even if you're hitting 165 and about to go down. So I usually have the starters down just by seeing them, on highlights and whatnot. So then if I know I'm going to, for instance, like last year with the Royals, MLB.com, or I'll tape a couple of games. The trick is you got to tape the day game and the night game, because the day game is when the backup second baseman, backup catcher, backup right fielder all play. So that's where a lot of the backups are. But the hardest part is, sure, you get Chris Getz, they call it out. But then what happens is Chris Getz will call out some random guy on the Diamondbacks bench. And why would I have prepared for the Diamondbacks? But, it'll be his roommate from college. And it's like, how do I know Ryan Braun knows Augie Ojeda? Like, this is not helping me. I don't know who you went to high school with, Mike Stanton, So that's hard to prepare for everyone on the bench.
We were showing some clips while you're talking, because we've got this on a live stream. And one of the clips we showed was where you're in the stretching circle with the Royals, and someone calls out Chris Getz. And the thing that I loved most about that clip,
you just stand there and strike out,
is right behind you is Kevin Seitzer, and he's laughing harder than anybody. And I think it goes back to that. He's the one working on their swing, so he's going to know every little nuance that's going on. So is that?
Yeah, it's just like if you work in a cubicle. I mean, if you work in a cubicle and the lady next to you drinks her coffee kind of loud and always says the same kind of Midwestern accent on the phone and cusses or whatever she does, if you went to a comedy club that night and somebody was telling jokes about that lady, you would laugh your head off, because you can't believe someone else knows exactly what you're going through, which is why so many people who work in an office find The Office funny, or I don't know, Parks and Rec or something. So to have Kevin Seitzer, who knows every little detail, and then on that one, I mean, they asked for Brian Pena, of all guys. It's like, luckily I'd seen one clip where he was a little demonstrative for a guy with 2 homers. After he hits a home run, he follows through and just kind of pause a little bit, and you saw the reaction. It's like, I can't find 4 people that would laugh at that imitation, like in my life, in any direction. And all the guys completely remember that moment. Same with, I was in the Ranger clubhouse maybe a month later, and Yorvi Torrialba did the same thing. He pretty much hit a home run, walked, and then flipped the bat on a random July game. And I happened to have seen it and remembered it, and then so did that in the clubhouse. And total Little League.
Yeah, which is you don't even see it anymore. Is that why you think on a larger audience, why the batting stance guy thing works, that people are connected, to even when you go back, because I think everybody can recognize, we all know King Griffey's swing. We know his stance. We know that swagger. To me, it seems like you see it and it reminds you of that. Is that your impression of why it's been such a widespread success?
Yeah, and truly, it was really stunning. I mean, to me, that this had any traction. And so I do think the emails that I would receive from people, there was a lot of, 42-year-olds with 3 kids that would watch a couple of the videos and then said, man, I missed this week in baseball. I bought a wiffle ball this week. I'm going to eat Fruit Loops again. I mean, really kind of deep stuff that I was not prepared for. I was just thinking, what does this guy do that's funny? And I realized that there's, when you become an adult, you try not to act like an 8-year-old, and you're paying bills and you're getting a job and you're kind of letting a lot of the dream die, and so to unearth the old nostalgia, of these different players and collecting cards. For a lot of people, they've kind of left that behind. They stopped collecting cards at 12, or they stopped, kind of being overly into baseball. So, with a lot of these invitations, it seems to take. It's not like people are weeping, but it seems people are taken back to a different time of their life. And let's face it, a time when you did this. You played stickball in the front yard with an incredible ball or tennis ball or something, and you were Steve Balboni, you were Onyx Concepcion, you just saw, you were Ken Harvey. You did whatever those players did, and so that's why I feel like even adults, even guys that run New York Times or Sports Illustrated that have connected to it in some way emotionally, I just imagine it's because we all have, I mean, not all, but a lot of us have this deep love and appreciation for baseball. And there's only so many ways and kind of an uncommercial way to experience that. And it's happened to have kind of scratched an itch for a lot of people.
We're joined here on the Royalman Report here every Sunday from 7 to 8 p.m. by Gar Ryness. He's at Batting Stance G, because at Batting Stance just wasn't enough, apparently. And he's joining us here on the Royalman Report, like I said, at royalmanreport.com. Has there ever been somebody that you've done one for and they've gotten offended?
No. I've had people ask me about why they didn't make their team's video. So I'm randomly trying to come up with, okay, who are the 15 Indians that I think of for, and I'll get like Harold Reynolds saying like, man, why didn't I make the Mariners? And I'll just be thrilled that he saw it, I can tell, let's see, I mean, when you imitate your aunt or uncle or your sister or somebody else, if there aren't other people in the room, often that person looks at you like, what are you doing? I don't do that. It takes there being 8 other people at the dinner table all laughing hysterically for the person to realize, wait, I do that? Why, I shake my legs when I'm talking? I don't know. So that happens a lot with players. When I'm like, I was one-on-one with Derek Jeter for like 20 minutes, and he was asking me about himself, and I was going through calling for time with your wrist, not your fingers, and doing this little kind of head nod to the pitcher, and throwing the bat down after. And to each detail, he basically looked at me and said, I don't do that. And trainers in the room were all looking like stunned, like, what? Of course he does that. But he thought he didn't do it. Whereas other times, I'll do an imitation of like Josh Willingham, and I'll walk around with a really stiff, like muscular neck, and he'll look at me like, who are you doing? And he'll turn around, all his teammates are laughing. He's like, I don't walk around like that. But because some people don't think of themselves being as muscular as they are, or having as scrunched up a face. Like with the Frank Core one, that everyone was only responding, which I don't even know if you could see on the video, to me showing my entire upper teeth rim, when the pitcher is about to throw it. That's what they were laughing at, not how my knee is,
Yeah, this is going to turn into the Chris Farley interviewing Paul McCartney. You remember that one time? But we're watching the video of you doing Bo Jackson and cracking the bat of your knee, and I'm laughing my ass off because it's so. I mean it suddenly teleports you back to when you were a kid and you saw, him hit the home run in the All-Star game and him break the bat. It's just that's why I enjoy your comedy, because it's spot on, man. Nice job.
I appreciate that. Well, it's nice to have geeks like me everywhere, that really, truly, organically love baseball. No other reason than we just simply love it. That helps.
That's very true. What's your biggest baseball memory?
Oh, wow. Well, as I said, I went to college back east, and so I grabbed a friend, and we realized that it was more expensive to fly back than it was to drive back when gas cost less. And so we would drive cross country each year, and that's how I saw Kauffman Stadium for the first time. And we started seeing tons of games, and so probably about 8 years ago, I finished having seen a game in every stadium. I'd say my greatest baseball kind of memory. I've been in a couple of walk-off homers in the World Series, which felt like kind of a big deal. McGuire in '88. He hit the one no one remembers from that World Series, a walk-off in Game 3, and then in Oakland. And then I was there for Game 2 in '05, Podsednik's walk-off in Chicago against the Astros. That was so that felt like a pretty important moment. But, yeah, definitely for, meeting Kent Herbeck, Will Clark, having players introduce themselves to me is this. I mean, seriously, this last 4 years have not the insanity, the Lynn-sanity has not been lost on me.
That's our second Lynn-sanity mention already tonight.
The guy's
by the way,
insane.
I'm a Golden State Warriors fan, so you got me as long as you want.
Now, have you been asked to branch into other sports? Do a volleyball slam or a Lynn-sanity dunk or anything like that?
Speaking of Twitter news, yes, actually last year Darren Rovell reached out to me asking if I do. I swear, asking if I do golf swings. And I said no. I'm sticking to baseball. But thanks for asking, Darren.
So the golf swing that I would like to see is the Ellen Woods golf swing as you're chasing Tiger out of the house and down the driveway.
Nice. Troy Olsen, ladies and gentlemen. Let's hear it for him. He'll be here all week.
That ever so small book of comedy that I do on this show, as you once said, it got a little bit bigger.
It's niche-y, but you have an audience.
That pretty much describes this show to a T. So
hey, I've got sitting here in front of me a list of your top 30. What is it? Royal stances. Now we're not going to go through all 30 of them. You got any particular favorites that you can think of right off the? I mean, Frank White I see is on here. Bianca Lana, that magical year of '85, and
yeah. Each of them do something special. I mean, obviously, if an average Royals fan wanted to see 10 people imitated, they would want to see the most beloved player. I mean, the players that played there the longest, the Frank Whites, the Sweeneys, the Hal McRaes, like the big guys. Whereas when I look down the list, because the Royals, to somebody not from the Midwest, the Royals are loaded with guys that you know of from other teams. There are people in Pittsburgh that don't know that Jeff King is one of the home run leaders on the Royals. So my list, the only real, there's like two homegrown Royals that are in my top 10, and that's Mike Aviles and George Brett. They both did something that was either completely new or weird or different or imitatable. And then most of the other guys are, Knobloch, Coco Chris, Johnny Damon, Jason Kendall. I mean, even Joe McEwing and Matt Diaz and Chris Steins, Hal Morris played there. So those guys all did something that I can honestly say, Chris Steins had his knee go higher than almost anyone, since Matt Holliday. You know what I mean? Like, there are guys that did Hal Morris literally stood so far away from the plate, he would run toward the plate when the ball was in the air. Trust me, nobody else is doing that,
I see Johnny Damon on this list, and that was the other thing I was thinking about. You have evolutions of a swing, because when Damon was here with the Royals, he had that infamous one-handed swing, and he kind of toned that down a little bit and reminded himself to put that second hand on the bat. But I'm standing here. I called my little 9-year-old kid over here, because we will sit out here. We will sit out in the bleacher seats for batting practice, and we will. Brett is really good at picking out guys, because they all have their warm up jackets on. He's really good at picking out guys because of their swings. Brett, who was the guy you saw that stood straight up that you could always pick out? You remember his name? Mike Jacobs, who had this like really erect stance when he was swinging. I was like, how? So Brett's been really good at doing that. I'm like, how do you figure that out? And so he might be your batting stance guy part 2, because he likes to mock and mimic those guys.
And what the players react to, I think mostly is, is the facial expression or the bravado or the chest puffed out. You know, it's not just where their hands are, something that like a hitting coach would work with. So Mike Jacobs also gives you a wad of chaw that Kansas City hasn't seen since Sparky Lyle. It's just, you know, Raul Abanya, there's about 5 guys that have anything like that, you know, in the side of their mouth. And Jacobs had that little, like, toe tap and would put his knee up pretty high as well.
It's still a wonder to me that he didn't work out here in Kansas City. That's still a wonder.
Yeah, no kidding. You know what's funny about Johnny Damon too? So I wrote a book, and you have a little picture of it on the Ustream on the site. So batting stance guy, love letter baseball, 50 really framed around the 50 greatest stances of my lifetime. So there's short chapters on each of the 50 guys, and this really was written pre-Mike Aviles, so he would have been in there, you know, had I seen that wacky twirly.
That's those gyrations or whatever.
That's actually how we date
with
things.
Johnny Damon, what's so funny is that obviously he has a chapter in the book, and there's a whole Royal section in his chapter. And so he really let go with his left hand, you know, and hit mostly completely with his right hand, one-handed. Then proceeded to, really be made fun of, let's face it, with one of the worst throwing arms in all of baseball.
Yeah.
All right? Making me think he's got to be the best player in the history of the major leagues that bats left-handed and throws left-handed, that doesn't use his left hand.
That might be correct.
He got a ball cut off from the left fielder in Boston when he threw that ball from the fence and Manny dove to cut it off, and he doesn't swing with his left hand.
It's kind of like Pete Gray
we all have our own
almost.
profession because he's not even using his arm, and
we just clicked on this book on Amazon, and this isn't just like a book like, oh, hey, 4 score in 7 years. This is like a how-to.
It's like diagrams and
diagrams. It's like a textbook almost. This is outstanding.
No, it's other than Letterman. Having Simon Schuster say, "We want you to write a book, and here's a book deal." It's like, what? Okay. Yeah. So, my sister, that's a storyboard artist for films, did all these drawings, and there's there's artwork about Steve Balboni in there. There's recreation of classic moments. There's a lot of really, really kind of fun photos, and Topps Cards sponsored it and allowed us to use cards from all over there. And it was incredibly fun to write. And what's been fun is that some of the guys in the book, like Jim Tomei, Carney Lansford, different guys have gotten the book or have talked to me about the book, and so it's just completely surreal. And I can guarantee you, based on my GPA, my teachers are the most stunned that I'm a published author.
Steve Balboni, I remember this is the more Chris Farley interviewing Paul McCartney again. But Steve Balboni, he had this perfect set of hair, right? Until he took his goddamn helmet off, and he was completely bald, just except for underneath his hair. It was so funny.
I literally wrote exactly that, and it was, you know what? It was the exact opposite of watching the '82 World Series and the Cardinals had this guy Mike Ramsey. When he took his hat off, I was like, whoa, what is that? It's a huge mane of hair. And so when the next guy to do it was Matt Williams. That was the next guy who, Steve Balboni, would take his helmet off and throw it. And I would just think, whoa. And by the way, Steve Balboni honestly has exactly my hair. So all the laughter completely came right back in my face years later.
Yeah,
and by the way, I'm a
great.
mustache away from looking very similar to Steve Balboni.
Nice. Work that.
It seems as we're kind of winding it down here, it seems the Kevin Youkilis stance is the one that kills every single time. Is there a second place in that? Is there a distant runner-up to Yuke's stance?
You know what? Great timing. I just was view it as stand-up comedy, but I go on stage for 30 minutes and with a microphone and people end up laughing. So MLB, the Players Association, had me come out and do this thing, and it was like Eddie Murray, Bobby Bonilla, Fred Lynn, Kenny Lofton. It was all sorts of players in the room, and they just called out names for 30 minutes. And I would say at this point, obviously Euclid gets laughs, but Hunter Pence has almost taken over because with the eyes, with the expression, with the mouth, with the kind of practice swing, and then the body and the running. That I'm getting asked now by players almost at every park to do a Hunter Pence imitation.
Really?
So he's getting close to taking over.
Fantastic.
Well, Gar, we want to thank you for spending the time here with us today on the Royalman Report, and we can't wait to see you. Are you going to get out to spring training, I guess?
Yeah, I would love to. It's we're shooting a spoof tomorrow for MLB Network. So I will, as stuff pops up, I will let the good people of KC know.
Well, you'll have to catch up with us at the All-Star game. We're trying to put some sort of podcast row together out there and try to get you out there and see you stretch your stuff.
And by the way, no kidding. This is not a suck-up. This is a real question I've answered before, but I have Kaufman, strangely enough, in my top 5, because I get asked this a lot because I've seen a game in every stadium. Mm-hmm. And there was something, and I wrote it in the book too, there's something about it, and it could have been because of the number of fans that were in the stands, or it could have been because of the, I don't know, the Howard Johnsons or something that you can see buildings in the distance and the road and the cars and the hills, but it actually kind of reminded me of my Little League field. So strangely, I literally have, it's like Fenway and Wrigley, and then AT&T Park where the Giants play, and then for real, it's like Kaufman for like almost sentimental purposes. And I got rained out one of the days I was there. This is '93, and the fountains. I don't know. There's something really cool about that field. No kidding. So
it's a beautiful park until you leave, and then it gets weird.
Well, it's almost old timey, and I mean that in a way like it reminds me of my Little League field. Yeah, Again, I hope it's not because there's only like 800 people there. That's why it reminds me of my Little League field.
We're just happy you didn't mention the Denny's in the outfield. So that tends to be a popular.
I don't even think that stuff was there in '93 yet.
It was there.
It's been a mainstay.
I was probably there at the time.
Probably a Red Roof Inn somewhere in there too.
So, well, Gar, thank you very much for coming on with us. We're going to let you go, but thank you for the time, and we will catch up with you come All-Star break. If you're going to be in Kansas City, we'll definitely catch up with you for some of our live stuff we're going to do that week. So we'll see you then. Gar Ryness, everybody, at Batting Stance G, the Batting Stance guy. Find him on YouTube, find him on Twitter, and check out this guy's work. He's really, really good. Thanks again, Gar. We'll be right back on the Royalman Report.
Hey, Troy, what are you doing this weekend?
Gonna grab a beer somewhere. What do you have in mind?
I heard about this awesome new bar downtown. It's called Rage. The waitresses have a contest to see who has the most piercings.
No, man, that's not really my scene.
Well, there's another bar close by called Spit Cup. Check it out. The bartenders wear chaps, and every hour they shoot a guy.
No, seriously, I just want a bar where I can sit down and watch the game.
Okay, I've got just the place. It's called Lilac. You sit on pillows and you drink from eucalyptus leaves.
No, Ned, but I just want a place where I can get a cheap drink and watch the football game.
Okay, I got it. This place, it's got a TV. It's called 816. All their drinks come in NBA hats.
Man, I just want a place like Kelly's.
Oh, you mean Kelly's Westport Inn? No, they've got all the basketball and bowl games. They've even got a heated roof. The view is really nice, too, if you know what I'm saying. Why didn't you just say you wanted to go to Kelly's?
Kelly's Westport Inn, 500 Westport Road. Make it your place to go any time of the week. Tell them the Royalman Report sent you.
Come to Spit Cup this week. We'll let the person who has the highest bar tab ride the bull. We don't have any TVs in our bar, but we make our own entertainment. Mondays, it's free cover charge to anybody with a gun rack in their pickup truck. Tuesdays, we've got $8 beer night. All domestic beers are on special for only $8. It's Spit Cup. Wednesdays is longest tobacco spit. Thursdays is foot fungus night. Friday night is jamboree night. Bring your crap kick in your 10-gallon hats. And this weekend, you get our world-famous Spit Cup girls. You get to pick which one has the most teeth. It's Spit Cup.
No love letters, talking to the wall.
Or you could go to Kelly's Westport Inn. The highest quality drinks with the lowest prices. You know what we do. Drinks, friends, plenty of TV showing sports. They've got all the basketball and all the baseball on. Live music on the weekends. The best pizza in Kansas City, and fun. Kelly's has the best rooftop patio in town and is voted one of the best places in Kansas City to check out the view, if you know what I mean, and maybe make a new friend. Make the best choice for your evening entertainment, Kelly's Westport Inn. Kelly's is at 500 Westport Road in Kansas City, Missouri. Kelly's Westport Inn. Tell them the Royalman Report sent you.
Somebody stands up and says, I'm sick of the controlling and the silver spoon that feeds all your stories and your bowling. Are you listening? Are you listening?
And I think you guys are even flirting on Twitter a little bit this week.
Maybe it's a bromance.
So I'll be starting my annual boycott of the corporate marketed fiasco called Valentine's Day soon.
And what I'm saying here is the wine has never let me down. Ha ha ha. Miss you, Mike.
And they're off. Wiener to wiener, here they come. And it's ketchup by 3 lengths.
But seriously, we're going to kill Friends in Low Places, right?
No.
And
You're the fake Ned.
You
ooze class.
We need to present you with a burrito.
Correct.
And you're going to eat said burrito
Really fast.
in a bra. If you're ready, here we go.
Here comes Woody.
Oh. There you go, creepy people on the internet.
Nothing. And welcome back into what's been an exciting Royalman Report. The guys, give you a little behind the scenes here. When we,
For Christ's sakes, Troy, God bless.
I think they get enough behind the scenes.
Right, you know.
Plenty of behind the scenes.
When we were figuring out this episode, because we knew Danny was going to call in, and we didn't know exactly when. Everybody's like, "So do we start early? What do we do?" I said, "Well, he's going to call in at 7:05 to 7:10. There's no reason we can't get started at 7." So of course, the one time that this wasn't like Christian Cologne,
We're
the
waiting
first
on
episode.
him. He's waiting on us.
We waited 45 minutes, and Danny's like, he's 5 minutes early with the
Nailed
call.
it.
So
That's
yeah,
good.
so that was pretty cool, and we're real excited. And the chat room's having a good time, and everything else that went with today. I mean,
Don't look now, man. We're starting to build a little Royalman club here.
Yeah, I'm pretty happy.
For those of you that are listening and haven't really listened live before, you should get in the chat room because it's a lot of fun in there. We have fun on the show. All of us here on the show participate.
They might actually be having more fun than we're having.
That's very
actually
possible.
At particular times.
And hey, you throw in some questions in the chat room, we ask them on air to our guests. So it's a good way to get some involvement in the show.
I do the best I can. That Danny Duffy interview was a little hard because there was so much going on, and
It looked kind of like Twitter during Game 6 of the World Series last year,
Yeah,
where
it was rolling
where it's
pretty
just
fast.
it's like spinning the wheel and the Price is Right. It's just going and going and going. You can't catch up.
But yes, thank you to, of course, Kelly's Westport Inn for being our backing, and to Maggie Moose, who has brought us the guests for the month of February, and of course we're at the end of February, so we'll see if they're back with us in March or not. But we hope so. If not, they got a heck of a drop today with the Danny Duffy deal. So we actually are going to do a show tomorrow, because we just can't have enough fun doing this just once a week.
Hey, why
now.
not?
Surprise.
Golly.
It's the start of spring training officially. We may as well christen it in the right way.
Are you comfortable, Mike? You look comfy.
You
How's
look-
that couch? Is
You
it
look
nice?
like you're
here.
relaxing over there.
He's not as comfy as Nick Wright was on the
He
on
was
the
all
Rambling
over that
Morons.
couch, man.
That dude was taking a nap.
He was doing great. There was a lot of weird stuff going on in my show today.
So we are going to be on TV, I guess, in a part of a special.
I don't know how
there
to
it
put
is.
this.
Well, yeah, I'm not
they
exactly sure how to put
Leather-bound
this.
books.
They haven't filmed us yet, so they could still veto us.
Actually, I don't believe there's any filming, right? She said photographer, or is this?
Oh, I
is
don't
she
know.
gonna bring a camera?
Still.
Anyway,
Let's
I
give the
don't know.
details.
Oh,
Let's just
Lord.
give the details before we get too crazy.
I have no idea. Anyway, KCTV5 is going to be doing
No. Fox 4.
Fox 4. My bad.
We're already off the air.
We just got pulled.
Never mind.
Okay.
KCTV5 sucks. Fox 4 is best.
JP's Golf Mom's helping us out here because God, thank the Lord that somebody in our chat room knows what is going on. It's a 30-minute Royals special. Apparently, it's supposed to be a film camera they're bringing, and they're going to her house.
Camera. It doesn't say film camera. They're gonna video us doing our
right.
show.
Right, and so they're also going to do.
She
Well,
said photographer. She said
35 millimeter.
She said photographer in the email.
Where you open up
You
the
do
back
that-
and
you
the film falls out.
Or like the 135 millimeter where you have
We
to
gotta
do
change the
clips. Advance it.
Where the
click,
lady gets under the
screech,
thing and the
They're
hood.
actually gonna splice it. They're gonna splice it right in the middle of the show here. Back to baseball.
What just
Back
happened?
to baseball.
I don't know what just happened. I just
I
feel
almost
like
lost it myself.
I just feel like a
happened?
flashback
We're back,
to
guys.
last
We're back.
week.
Back to
Mike,
baseball.
you're not helping this week either.
No, I'm having fun.
Yeah, apparently. Oh, anyway, so yes, we're going to hopefully be part of a 30-minute Royal special, which will have actual video of us doing our thing. I was going to say working, but that's not the
We're
right
not
word.
working.
So we're going to be on Fox, and they're going to go over to Heather's house and do on Wednesday and do a special, do part of the special with them with little Duffy or whatever his Twitter handle is. I'm sorry, Heather.
Little Frenchie. What the
Little
hell is
Duffy.
wrong
Come on now.
My mind is obviously in one place tonight. I
Little
apologize.
Duffy.
So, yeah. Martin Steele says Mike's been brainwashed after last week. I'm just happy that Mike didn't quit. Okay, if you didn't hear the actual Royalman Report from last week,
You should go back and listen.
It
to
you
it.
really
was
should. It was
phenomenal.
pretty funny.
It was like wrangling two 4-year-olds on a caffeine high is how I described it to Troy after the fact.
I had to go back and listen to it because I didn't remember a whole lot of it.
No, that's
during
not
the
su-
incident.
Not surprising.
And
really.
then if you want to hear an actual sports show, in the midweek, I actually interviewed. I actually had some interviews that we put in for the midweek, and Greg
With Greg Doyle.
was who we interviewed, and he was very, very good. And shut up, Chris.
You're
Yes,
toast.
I had a moment there. I really am. I am worn out. Tonight was a big night for us. I won't lie. I'm not. You know what? I always try to do this show as professional as possible. You know, of course we'd like
When is
to
that
be
going to start?
right. Screw you.
We missed that memo. Did you send that out to us?
But
that email or?
I won't lie. I'm grinning ear to ear tonight. Tonight was a big day for us, and we want to thank Danny Duffy a lot because that was awesome. And really, it all
Gar
came
Ryness.
because
He was awesome too.
Yeah, and Gar Ryness as well. But Danny, that interview came because he wanted people to tweet somebody he knew happy birthday, and I happened to, and I had mentioned to him about coming on the show a couple weeks before, and he's like, "Hey, dude, that was awesome that you retweeted that. What's the details on this show?" And so it took us a couple of weeks to lock it down, but I'm super happy he was here. So
Somebody in the chat room mentioned they want to come over to the house tomorrow with signs like on the Today Show, like just stand in the background.
Stand outside this window right
On
here.
a
Just
code
bang
beam.
on there with the signs.
That's a great idea. I should post that. That's good stuff.
But I think we're gonna start at what 6:37 tomorrow. What are we doing here?
Not at 6:37. We're gonna pick either 6:30 or 7.
7.
We're not gonna do 6:37.
Right, that was
It's way too precise of a time.
I'll have to go back. It's probably gonna be a 7:00 show. Maybe I don't know.
So follow us on Twitter at
Follow it
Royalman
on
Report.
Twitter. If you guys, I mean, seriously, if you
But
don't know how to
this is-
figure the internet out yet, just get a hammer and hit yourself in the head. with it.
Probably you're going to be lucky to have heard this by then anyways. So,
You're-
but hopefully you have.
But
Yeah.
this is
You'll know from Kings of Kaufman. You'll know from our Twitter accounts. You'll know from the Royalman Report Twitter when we're going to do our Monday
JP's
show.
Golf Mom asks who's on our show tomorrow. We have a couple.
Oh yeah,
people
no,
tomorrow.
we have tomorrow. We have Jay Binkley from Three Guys in a Garage is going to be in the first segment, and then we also have another 810 personality, Nate Bucati from the Border Patrol, is also going to be on in the second half hour. So we're going to have two big radio folks, and if you're into radio folks, like Troy said, Nick Wright was on my show earlier today, so we're going to post that as well.
And Mike Jeez Louise, I've just lost
Sound
it.
it out.
I'm out of here.
A, B, C.
Mike from the Royals, Mike McCarthy from the Royals.
Mike McCartney.
Mike McCartney, sorry. I always say it wrong, too. He's just going to beat me. He was on your show 2 weeks ago. And
yes, he was fantastic.
God bless him for actually coming on that week of all weeks.
It was great. We've had a fun couple of weeks. I'm very close to not being married anymore, but the studio's been hopping, that's for sure.
Yeah. And everybody's kind of talking in the chat room, like we said. Heather suggested maybe trying to get somebody on tomorrow night, but we're really excited about having Jay, because Jay's very special to me, because if it wasn't for Jay, we wouldn't have this show. And
he's the guy to blame.
Nate Bucati is a big pull for us. So we'll see if it looks like we're going to go light on time. I may reach out. I have a few connections up my sleeve that I can pull once in a while, but they're playing me out of here. So we will see you tomorrow night at 7 p.m. for the Royalman Report. Around the table, I'm Casey Royalman.
I'm Jeff Herr.
I'm not Martin Steele.
And we are the Royalman Report. And for Danny Duffy and Gar Ryness, thank you very much. We're out of here. Go Royals.
This is the Echo Network.